Hello everyone, I'm Sananu Rahman and we're talking about the genital system development. This is the third section of this lecture, and in this section we'll talk about the genital ducts. So this section has been divided into the development of the genital ducts. We'll see what components of the genital ducts are there in males and females and how do they develop from what embryological origins exactly. Then we'll see the influence of gonads on this sexual differentiation and development of these ducts in both the males as well as the females. And finally, we'll talk about the development of male genital ducts in detail, that is, how these ducts are formed, what components are retained in the adult human, what components are not retained, and what is the significance of this development. So, first of all, let's see what are the components of genital ducts in both the males and the females. So, in males, we first have the vasa efferentia. From vasa efferentia, we have duct of the epididymis and epididymis itself. Then we have the vas deferens. From vas deferens, we have the ejaculatory duct. In females, we have the fallopian tube. From fallopian tube, we have uterus, and uterus opens into vagina. So now let's see how these genital duct form. So we have this mesonephric duct. Mesonephric duct is also known as the Wolffian duct. Referring to the figure, this in blue is the mesonephric duct. So mesonephric duct, there are two types of ductal systems and two fates. The embryo can either be a male or a female. Hence, the mesonephric duct can undergo two fates. In male, the mesonephric duct, they form the definitive genital ducts, and hence they are retained. In females, they disappear because they have no purpose in females. Now the paramesonephric duct is this one in orange. These paramesonephric duct can again undergo two types of fates depending upon the sex of the fetus. If it is a male fetus, if it is a female fetus, they form the definitive genital duct in the female fetus. However, in the male fetus, they do not form the definitive genital duct, and hence they disappear. So there are two types of genital ducts, the mesonephric duct, also known as the Wolffian duct, and the paramesonephric duct, also known as the Mullerian duct. So the Wolffian duct is responsible for the formation of adult genital ductal system of the males, and the Mullerian duct is responsible for the formation of adult genital ductal system of the females. So let's see what is the influence of gonads on sexual differentiation. So we have testes. Testes has two types of cells. The first type is the Sertoli cells. Now the Sertoli cells, they are responsible for secreting the Mullerian inhibiting substance. The Mullerian inhibiting substance or hormone, it inhibits the development of the paramesonephric ducts. So since the mesonephric ducts are responsible for the formation of adult genital ductal system in the males, so the Mullerian inhibiting substance, it inhibits the development of the paramesonephric duct, and this Mullerian inhibiting substance is secreted by the Sertoli cells of the testes. At the same time, the testes also has the Leydig cells, which were formed by the mesenchyme which surrounds the seminiferous tubules. The Leydig cells are responsible for the production of testosterone, which stimulates the development of the mesonephric duct. So the mesonephric duct, which was supposed to form the male adult genital ductal system, they are the testosterone, it stimulates this formation of mesonephric duct, and testosterone is secreted by the Leydig cells. Leydig cells also secrete dihydrotestosterone, which stimulates the growth of external genitalia. So similarly, ovary, it secretes estrogen. This estrogen stimulates the paramesonephric duct. So the paramesonephric duct, it forms the uterine tubes, the uterus, and the upper portion of the vagina. So it also stimulates external genitalia and helps in the formation, growth of the clitoris, the labium majora and minora, and finally the lower portion of the vagina. So, how does the development of genital ducts in male take place? So, first of all, these mesonephric tubules, these are the mesonephric tubules, these are the mesonephric tubules. These mesonephric tubules, they form the vasa efferentia or the efferent ductules of the testes. So, this is the testes, and these are the ductules, these are the mesonephric tubules. They form the vasa efferentia or efferent ductules of the testes. So now the upper part of the mesonephric duct, this is the upper part of the mesonephric duct, this here, this forms the duct of the epididymis. So duct of the epididymis is formed by the upper part of the mesonephric duct. So duct of the epididymis is followed by the epididymis in itself. This is the epididymis in itself. Now epididymis, now part of the mesonephric duct, it also forms the vas deferens. Here you can see this is the vas deferens being formed. Now the terminal part of the mesonephric duct, it gives a vesicle which is known as the seminal vesicle. This is the seminal vesicle, and it enters the prostate, where it forms the ejaculatory duct. So it distal to the seminal vesicle, this is the ejaculatory duct. So first of all, refer to the figure, it would become a lot easier. So first of all, we have these vasa efferentia or efferent ductules of the testes. These efferent ductules, they converge to form the duct of the epididymis. Duct of the epididymis, it undergoes convolutions and forms the epididymis in itself. Now the epididymis, this forms the vas deferens. This is the vas deferens. Vas deferens gives off a seminal vesicle bud. This is the bud of the seminal vesicle. And the portion of the mesonephric duct which lies distal to the seminal vesicle is known as the ejaculatory duct. So 5 portions of the male ductal system, all of which have been developed from the mesonephric duct. You only have to remember what portion starts from where and how does the continuation take place. It's a very easy. Keep the figure in mind, you'll be able to understand it. So moving on, the development of prostate. So development of prostate, it is only being discussed here because it has close association with the genital system in itself. It develops from 5 epithelial buds that arise from the epithelial lining of the prostatic urethra and grow in the surrounding mesoderm. So the prostatic part of the urethra, which was actually formed by the vesicourethral section of the urogenital septum. So now that is responsible for the formation of prostatic urethra. There are 5 epithelial buds that arise from the epithelial lining of the prostatic urethra, and they tend to grow in the surrounding mesenchyme. So bud arising from the mesodermal posterior wall of the urethra, they form the inner glandular zone. So the inner glandular zone is actually formed by the buds which arise from the posterior wall of the urethra. So now buds that arise from the rest of the prostatic urethra, they form the outer glandular zone. So there are 2 glandular zones, the inner glandular zone and the outer glandular zone. The inner glandular zone is formed by the buds that arise from the posterior wall of the urethra, and the rest of the glandular zone is formed by the buds that arise from the other parts of prostatic urethra except for the posterior part. Now the surrounding mesoderm, it forms a dense fibrous stroma and smooth muscles of the prostate gland. It also helps in the formation of prostatic capsule. So this is the prostatic urethra. This is the prostatic urethra, and this is the prostatic utricle, which helps in the formation of this entire structure. This is the anterior lobe of the prostate. The process is actually formed by the by 5 epithelial buds that are formed in the epithelium of the prostatic urethra. The glandular zones cannot be visualized with the naked eye. So this is the median lobe of the prostate. This is the anterior lobe of the prostate, and this is the posterior lobe. The median and posterior lobe are differentiated on the basis of ejaculatory duct which passes through them. So now the development of the bulbourethral glands. So these are the bulbourethral glands. Now let's see how do they develop. These are the P-shaped pair glands. These are the P-shaped pair glands. They develop from paired outgrowths from the spongy part of the urethra. Now again, urethra formed by the uricovesical segment, the terminal portion of the uricovesical segment. These bulbourethral glands, which are actually pea-sized pair glands, they develop from paired outgrowths from the spongy part of the urethra. The glandular part of the gland develops from the endoderm of the urethra, and endoderm of the urethra also contributes to the formation of glandular part of the gland. So the smooth muscles and fibrous stroma, they develop from the surrounding mesenchyme. So this is a pattern in general, that the ectoderm helps in the formation, the endoderm helps in the formation, endoderm of the adult structure, and the connective tissue and smooth muscle as well as the fibrous stroma is usually formed by the surrounding mesoderm. So this is all about this section. In this section, we talked about the development of various glands. We saw how the prostate was formed and how the bulbourethral glands were formed. I hope you understood what happened in this section. For further such details, keep watching sqadia.com.